Hey, it's Aaron, the Metal Theologian. This is one of those where I don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about for the most part, but we're going to talk about some shit that I've been listening to and some shit that I kind of want to hype a little bit. There's one in particular because there's a reissue coming, but not super organized, man. And like, I try to come up with themes sometimes for like the shit I've been listening to, and a lot of what I've been listening to is just shit that's bad. I actually, I was at the record store a few days ago. I actually said I was the only one who ever goes in there and asks for bad records. But like, I was on that big White Snake kick a few weeks ago, and I sort of decided I wanted to step down from there. So I was listening to the Foghat. That's a pretty big step down from White Snake. And that was scratching the itch, but then I kind of wanted a little bit more. And I was thinking, I pulled out a couple other things too, man. Like, it's funny, there were a couple things that I pulled out where I was like, this ought to, like, do it, it just didn't. But you know what really did? Was fucking this piece of shit right here, man. I was like, I got this for, like, I was getting something else from someone, and, like, he had a bunch of shit, and, like, it was 3 for $5, and I had 2, and this was sitting there. That's why I have this at all, right? It totally scratched the fucking itch, man. And last time I put this on, I hated it. And here's the thing. I wouldn't really go as far as to say that I don't hate this record. I don't hate it as much as I used to, but I definitely don't think it's a good record. But I don't know, man. It still kind of scratched the itch, you know what I mean? It's like sometimes what you need isn't necessarily what's good for you, you know? Like, here's one that's good for me. I actually listened to this one when noted Rachel Streamlurker Audio Geek 67 was hanging around a few days ago, but like, this is a jazz record, right? This is like what smart people listen to, It has like that cute, baseball thing. And it's fucking Derek Bailey and George Lewis and John Zorn. And like, I don't really know anything about George Lewis, except that he's a trombone player, which I basically know from this album. Derek Bailey, I know, but everyone knows John Zorn. If you know that, you kind of know what you're in for. So this is definitely like, a record to put on when you're trying to impress people, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm kind of kidding. I really like free jazz. I genuinely like free jazz. I don't know if I've ever shown this in a video before. I might have, but like, I bought this because I honestly like it, so. So that was kind of just a bit. I'll just cop to it. Fuck it. But I really have been listening to some shitty records, man. Oh, here's one, because I totally expected to scratch the itch, but didn't. I just thought of one, so I was talking about it. This fucking thing. I was like, those late Uriah Heep records, like the later 70s ones, are kind of bad, So I was like, well, Innocent Victor, that might be too good. But actually, this didn't scratch the itch at all, man. And I couldn't really tell you why, because it was the right sort of groove, like sort of the late 70s sort of ennui, that's sort of, just that sort of like, I don't know, man, like that complacency of the late 70s, I guess. With the disco happening and like all these bands just kind of like, the reason that there was a new wave of British heavy metal was reacting against this shit, you know what I mean? So, anyway, I didn't really dig the Uriah Heep this time, and like, I've liked that one more in the past, so, I don't know. Let me hype this one a little bit, then we can go down that path a little bit more, though. There's a new reissue coming of this one. I've hyped this one before. Apparently this one has a drum machine, which is funny because like I can tell that every hit's the same now that my attention's been drawn to it, but the drum patterns are like complicated. Like they put some effort into programming this shit, so it's not like, oh yeah, it's just fucking like for keeping a beat for practice, Anyway, Final Acts, man. This is Jesus metal, okay? Beyond Hell's Gate. It's like 89. There's a new reissue coming on Rocks, and it's like Boone's Overstock or one of those Scott Waters affiliated labels. That's what I want to bring your attention to because they're my fucking favorite Jesus metal records. And I've decided, honestly, I'm going to bite just on account of a new drum track because I kind of love this just the way it is. But I'm sure it wouldn't hurt it, you know what I mean? So, especially since I got Robert Sweet to do it, man. I'll admit that's fucking tempting. Anyway, this fucking record smokes. I'm warning you, it's pretty heavy-handed, okay? But I also, I probably talked about this before, but there's this sort of truism about Jesus metal or Jesus music in general. I should say Christian music in general, because Jesus music, like, means something specific that I don't want to get into right now. But I really like Jesus music. So Christian music, there tends to be this perception from outsiders that, oh, well, you know, some of the bands that are better are the ones that like focus more on the music and not so much on the preaching. But the thing is, man, I'm finding the more I love this shit that I listen to, the more I find that my favorite bands are these really like direct, heavy-handed ones. You know, like that one. Or I actually pulled out this one a few days ago too. It's another one that like is not the slightest bit subtle. I mean, maybe well, I don't know. I was gonna say the cover, but that's probably even less subtle than the other one. So you just sort of have to know the iconography a little bit. You know what I mean? Anyway, Final Warning by Messiah is an all-time favorite fucking record of mine. And Final Axe isn't quite at that level, but it's kind of getting there, man. This is one of those records where when I pull it out, I play it every day for like a week. I actually listened to it earlier, and I'm down to hear it again. So keep your eyes open, because I don't know how hard to find this this older version of it is. The new one's going to be easy to get for a while. So okay, so here's a record that fucking, if you watch Ron Haggerty, Metal Ron, I don't know what his channel's called right now because it's kind of changed it a few times, and I apologize, Ron, but I haven't kept up. But I told him I was listening to some bad ones, so he sort of recommended this one, and this one's pretty fucking bad. This was so bad that I don't think I really would be able to bring myself to buy it, because this one isn't just bad, this was on RCA. Okay, and it's like when you're on a big label, you've kind of crossed a line. Because no matter how shitty they are, or how badly they treated you at the big label, there's no doubt White Wolf, I'm sure, didn't see a fucking dime off this record, right? I'm sure the label just completely dicked them over. But even so, they made it that far, you know? But here's the thing, dude, I couldn't fucking resist. I'm like, okay, fucking. Now, I actually didn't wait for a full moon to play it. And so maybe it, I just noticed the fucking rat, like the weird, like, bat rat with the amphibian hands, is female. I couldn't resist, man. Fucking completely threw me off my game for a second there. Like, oh my god, it's even cornier than I realized. Fuck. Anyway, this record is super fucking corny, man. And they were definitely going for some of the radio shit. I mean, this is... I feel like this one has a little bit too much rock and roll sensibility for me to consign it to AOR. You know, just sort of write it off as AOR. But I also have to admit, I don't really have that firm a grasp on exactly where the boundaries of AOR lie. That White Wolf is a pretty shitty record in the same way that AOR is shitty, and I gotta say I enjoyed it more than the Uriah Heep, man. So speaking of shitty records, actually, there's another one here that I'm gonna put y'all on to. This is actually sort of a warm-up to the Heavy Metallurgy stream this Friday night, which I assume y'all watch anyway. Realistically. But the guest they're going to have is Dan from the Colosseum website. And there's a specific record that I think of when I think of Dan. We don't know each other very well. Like, we've exchanged a few emails, and Dan's always been totally cool, but we were never, like, buddies, right? But I have been reading his website for kind of a long time, you know what I mean? Especially since it's sort of become the central hub from, like, the old metal page and the metal treasures before that. Having all that shit sort of collected in one place is great, but the Colosseum was pretty awesome anyway, just because the way he writes about shit is awesome. I'm not always on board with his taste, but the picks are always interesting. Well, this is one that actually kind of got purged from more recent sites, but was on a really, really old site of his. And this is Svaty Vincent, or Svaty Vincent, or something like that. I want to pronounce it Russian, say Svaty, but it's not Russian. I think it's Czech, but I'm not even fucking sure. St. Vincent, man. And this is a real fucking piece of shit. I'm pulling this record out for two reasons. Number one, give a little shout out to Dan from the Colosseum and encourage y'all to check out the stream because it ought to be a banger. But also to put on something shitty while I talk about some records like Foghat and shit that's on big labels I don't necessarily want to play because I don't want to get a bunch of ads and shit put on the video if I can help it. So I'll just be talking about it. So you can hear how shitty this is. I finally bit the bullet on this one, man. But you know something, dude? the mood, the headspace that I've been in is like fucking. Come Taste the Band is like the very pinnacle of the kind of rock and roll I'm looking for. Does that make sense? Like the shit that's kind of, because like that's a great record. It's not a Deep Purple record, but like forget about the Deep Purple like connection at all, right? It's like Tommy Bolin and David Coverdale and Glenn Hughes doing some shit, and John Lord and I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, but it doesn't even fucking matter. Point is, I was like, yeah, maybe it's time to find. I've been hearing for years this record's good. I don't feel like I can decide right now whether this is even good. I really enjoyed it when I listened to it. I'll probably enjoy it if I play it again this week, but if I wait till like 2 weeks from now, I might never enjoy it again. I mean, everyone knows about this fucking record. This is, the Tommy Bolin album. He made another one too, but this seems to be the one that people care about. Doesn't mean it was expensive. It also has a song "Wild Dogs" on it, which I know from the majestically bad Last Concert in Japan by Deep Purple. That record's actually too bad. I haven't been looking for shit that's like quite so shitty, or like Svaty Vincent. If you're a connoisseur of shitty records, you really need the Last Concert in Japan by Deep Purple. That is the king of records. I'll put that up against Having Fun with Elvis on Stage. No shit. I bought a copy. I have one over there. Actually, I think I still have a copy of Having Fun with Elvis on Stage, too. I ended up with 2 copies of that at one point. Alright, this is this guy. So, to even call this metal is kind of a stretch. It's really more like noise, but it's noise with a metal attitude. Yeah, we're listening to a Zmrtvi Tvistani. In case you're wondering what he was saying. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is supposed to be. Like, this is seriously like something to crawl out from under a rock. And as far as I know, this is the only record, too, that this fucking weirdo ever made. Maybe he had a big, long career on Eurovision or something. I think if you're interested in the phenomenon of collecting, you have a surprisingly good cross-section on YouTube. I was thinking about this before with regard to Dan, when I saw that Dan was going to be the guest on Heavy Metallurgy, and I was sort of thinking about the kinds of collectors we are, and it's like, if you're seriously like interested in like the phenomenon, it's like you can see that we all kind of came at it from different perspectives. Like Marty is the guy who is like the metal fan who stayed current and up to date, you know what I mean? So it's like when death metal happened, he was paying attention and he was there and he has his own stories with it. When black metal blew up, he was right there, he had his own stories. Going all the way back to like, he's got a year or two of it, but not much. But going all the way back to like when he was discovering Kiss and AC/DC as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Alan and I, we both kind of went to a certain point and then sort of got really interested in digging deeper and just sort of like going through. For me, I don't know exactly what Alan's story is, but for me, like, I kind of checked out of metal for a few years, like around the time when early 90s, really. It's sort of my low point. That's actually when I met my wife, too. I sort of pulled a bait and switch because I was really into reggae, and then like we got seriously involved and I got back into metal, That's kind of funny in retrospect. Where's he going with that shit? Oh yeah, we sort of like wandered away from that and sort of dug deeper. And so maybe Alan kept more current with shit than I did. I think he probably did. But like, I paid a little bit of attention to death metal and black metal when those things were blowing up. But it was more like I sort of stuck with the shit that I was most into, like digging deeper and deeper into like the obscure 80s shit. And so when I came back to death metal, it was sort of from a little bit later. You know what I mean? I was into it enough that I went and saw some of the bands and shit, you know what I mean? Like, I saw Deicide when the Hoffman brothers were still in the band and shit like that. Where'd I put my fucking e-cigarette, man? Oh, it's right in front of me. But that's what I did. I sort of, like, went off and, like, did that. Then Alan, like, did a similar sort of thing, but then specialized even more by going for, like, sort of, like, the most, like, ultra, like, private ones. I've sort of tried to cast the wider net, and he's honed in on these specific ones, So it's like 3 really kind of different collecting styles, sort of born in just sort of a different life experience collecting, And so we talk with each other, we know all the same shit and like the same shit, but we sort of have a different perspective, and that's what keeps it interesting, you know? But if you're coming in as an outsider, man, like you just wandered into Rachel's stream and you're like, you think that like, you know, whatever new MoFi thing happening, if that's like sort of the end of collecting and shit. I'm not trying to shit on you. I mean, you'll get there if you want to get there at some point, right? But it's like, it's got to be like night and day, you know? Like records just seem like this monolith from the outside. But once you get into it, just like anything else, you can specialize and specialize and specialize, you know? I was thinking about this. I was listening to one of these fucking, you know, I listen to a lot of like religion podcasts, that sort of thing, and lectures and that. But I've been interested in sort of the archaeology of it lately. And something came up recently where they were talking about, you know, who the paleographer was who worked on something. I was like, where do you even go to like become a paleographer? You know, it's one of those sorts of things. I mean, obviously there are ways of doing it. If you want to do it bad enough, you'd figure it out. But it's the sort of thing where it's already so obscure, but people still specialize in it. And that's like Alan as a collective. And me too. Fucking takes one to know one, right? I pulled up the early Uriah Heep records, man. Played them through the other night, really enjoyed them. Let's see, I played that one and this one. It's funny, I deliberately played those. I played those and I pulled this one out too. Actually, because Jeff from Gas Mask and Hand Grenades was talking about this record. I don't even remember what it was. It was in the middle of some longer stream, but he started talking about how great this record was. And I was like, yeah, that is a great record. And I haven't played it in a while. So I pulled that out. That's not the shitty stuff. That's sort of shitty adjacent. Although, you know, I realized listening to those that all the shit that, like, when I was a kid, I used to think were a little bit shitty about Uriah Heep. Like some of those, like, vocal harmonies and shit. Like the shit that it sounds like Queen was listening to. That sort of shit doesn't bother me at all anymore. You know what I mean? One of the benefits of aging a little bit, I think. There's really some great records, though, and it's funny because, like, I've been into them since I was in high school, and I had the American pressings originally. Actually, I've always had an import of Look at Yourself. But I think that one has the same track list as the import press, or as the American press anyway. But these two had some different tracks, and so these, you know, I never really sought these out because I never really felt the need for them, but I just sort of grabbed them if I saw them cheap, you know, so I ended up with these and a couple other, like, sort of alternate pressings and shit. But anyway, they really do kind of hit different with different song order. It's not as obvious as with some records. You know, like, one that I've talked about a lot is British Steel, the Judas Priest record. Because I like that record a lot more since I got a copy with what I assume is the European track list, where the first song is Rapid Fire. I'd always had the US one, and with Breaking the Law as the first track, I think it's kind of a lame ease-in, you know what I mean? I think it's a solid song. I just don't think it's a good first song, but Rapid Fire, like, pounces you right into it, right? So there's nothing that, like, blatant with these, you know what I mean? They feel more similar to start off with, because this one starts with Bird of Prey, which is on the first one in the US pressing, right? So this one starts with Gypsy, and this one starts with Bird of Prey. So they both kind of come out similar and then sort of back off, like sort of the softer ones and shit. And I don't know, man. They both hit the spot. I guess I just really like Uriah Heep, man. And I'll even crack about these fucking later records. And they're not as great as, like, the first 5 or so. They're not even close, okay? But that doesn't mean they aren't kind of fun records, you know? Speaking of fun records, man, this is a fucking fun record. This is the heaviest metal record I know. This isn't a metal record at all. In fact, you know what this is? This is one of those records where if you work in a record store, every so often, like, the staff will turn over and there'll be some new kid who comes in who hasn't encountered this record before. And every time they just go through the whole thing of going, oh my god, look at that thing. It looks so, like, fucking hardcore. But then, like, it's all this, like, weird Moog shit. And that's all this is. It's fucking synthesizer shit. But it's kind of epic, and it's majestic, and it's cheesy, and it's really brilliant. You know, it's funny because I pulled this out to listen to when I had a friend over recently. And, so I was saying that was a good record, you know, it was really enjoyable, not the greatest thing ever, but, you know, I remembered really liking it. But putting it on again recently after not hearing it for, I don't know, probably 10 years, I really loved it, man. This fucking, yeah, it's a Mort Garson record, apparently. He's some, like, Moog guy who, like, made a lot of records. There are other ones around, I might even have something else if I look around, but, This one just has his name real small in the credits on the back there. So, you might well find it in the rock section under Black Mass or Lucifer. If it's in the B's, it might be near the Tommy Bolin record, which you're probably not looking for. Because I really can't recommend a record like that in good conscience. See, look, this is a good record. I got this and I was like, oh shit, man, I don't want to pass on that because I don't have much Dewey Redman in my collection. And, you know, I don't want to like not see this again for a while. Yeah, but you want to know how much I played it? Here's your hints. And I'll play this when I'm on a jazz kick. Okay, I will totally enjoy that Dewey Redman record. But right now, the one that I did play when I got home from the record store was fucking this one. Dude, this is a piece of shit. Oh, here's one more that's not a piece of shit. Fucking, the new, how did I space the fucking name? Black Market Brass record. I started seeing the Dirty Dozen brass band, and I couldn't get the brass band out of my head. A fucking brain fart, man. Whatever. Not everything that comes with age is good, right? Nothing that fucking old either. Anyway, this is the new fucking Black Market Brass record, and the last one was fucking fantastic. One with the skull on it and the snakes and shit. Absolutely loved it. I think I like that one a little bit more than this one, but this one is a little bit more sort of moody, you know, where that other one just kind of rocked a little bit more and was a little bit more sort of, you know, like you sort of want to get out of your seat. This one's more sort of thoughtful on that, which doesn't mean that this one doesn't have some fucking fantastic grooves, man. If you like the last one, you will definitely like this one too, but in a way it feels like sort of a deeper, like a little bit of a more thoughtful record. Like more of a head record and less of a body record, although again, it's definitely still a body record. I'm going to digest it a little bit more because I only played it like once or twice, and it's kind of not shitty enough for what I've been wanting to hear anyway. So, it's pretty shitty, isn't it? It was great though. You know what's not shitty, man? Is this fucking record right here, Balls to the Wall. I paid $0.25 for this, by the way, I'm pretty sure. It might have been $1, but I'm pretty sure I got it out of $0.25. Anyway, yeah, dude, like fucking even the hit, you know, Balls to the Wall, everyone knows that song. Usually you just hear that shortened version, like the special like MTV cut or something, with the admittedly very funny video. But most of the songs on this fucking record are great, man. Like London Leather Boys. Yeah, Losing More Than You've Ever Had. Most of these songs are really fucking good, dude. So yeah, don't shy away from this one like I kind of did for a long time. Metal Heart felt a little bit slick for me, you know what I mean? But you know, so I have Russian Roulette again too, and I kind of like that one. Maybe I should give Metal Heart another chance one of these days. I just remember that fucking Beethoven thing from the fucking, from the song Metal Heart, that little Beethoven lick in the quote in the middle. And that just annoys me so much for some reason. I don't know, man. That's like one of those leftover things, because that record I remember when it came out and sort of the hype and shit. Hey, if you understand Czech and he's saying something really shitty, I kind of apologize, but only kind of. Anyway, Balls to the Wall by Accept, man. Don't fucking snooze on it. Get Breaker and get Restless and Wild first, but I might even say get that one before this one. Which is also a really good record, but this is a lot more sort of like a 70s hard rock record, though. I'll tell you something, though. This fucking record blows the shit out of the first fucking Saxon record, I'll tell you, man. That Saxon record isn't terrible, but this record's way better. And fucking look at these guys, dude. Come on, man. That's why Udo is the greatest fucking singer of all time. His photo's like that right there. And it's on Brain Records. It sounds like between songs stage banter, right? But I don't think this is live. I mean, maybe they did this live, but like... Yeah, you know, sometimes I listen to a lot of stuff that wasn't quite so shitty. One evening I was sort of like alternating between UFO records and Scorpions records, just for the hell of it. A lot of those are still sitting here, so, you know, Taken by Force, or, Force It. Fucking theme with the Force, right? That one. Virgin Killer, great record, man. Fucking No Heavy Petting. You know, all classics. Yeah, here's Lights Out. So I don't know, man, a lot of obvious shit. So I guess the message of today is, you need to know the canon, man. If you're like a serious metal collector, if you know all these details and shit about like fucking like Auburn Records and Black Death and you know, fucking Who's Who at Megaforce, all that kind of shit, you ought to know what the fucking UFO sounds like. Even if you don't like UFO, you ought to at least know a few songs, you know? You ought to be able to tell a UFO from the Scorpions if it comes on the radio, you know? Sort of expect that, you know? It's like when you meet people who don't know the Stones, you know? They're like really into music, but they don't know the Stones. It's like, dude, maybe take a step back, you know? And again, I'm not castigating aspersions. On the contrary. This is why I'm bringing this up so deep in the video. Here's what I really encourage you to do. Like, if you listen to those records, then when you like rip on them, it's a lot more fun when you can be specific. You know what I mean? Like when you tell someone the Eagles suck, but you can like go into like a specific detail about a song. It fucks with people more than if you say, "Oh, I never listen to them because they're bad," you know? So maybe that's the real moral of the story. The bad records are actually good. But not the Eagles, man. They're just fucking bad. And so is Bad Company, dude. Bad Company is fucking terrible, dude. There's good records. It's a good band to listen to. You know something? Fucking Phenomenon. That one got played, too. This record was too good. Okay, when I was going through looking for stuff that was shittier, I pulled out this one. This is a really cool, like, it's like 1980 or 81. It's really early. And it's kind of an ordinary, 1980. It's like kind of an ordinary, like, hard rock towards metal record. Like, it's really kind of a hard rock record, but it's German, so it has a little bit more of a metal edge a little bit earlier, I suppose, like, is accepted to. I don't know, man, maybe I'm over abstracting, but it feels like a little more edge, even if, you know, they still kind of look like hippies in spirit. But yeah, I mean, how high quality do you think this is, really, being honest, right? But this was too high quality for me. I needed to sink down to the level of fucking Bad Company to scratch the itch. You know who knows what I'm talking about? It's Chroma Key. Alright, man, I think that's all the records I got to talk about. Oh, here's another corny one, man. This Oracle one. I think I talked about this a while back. This was pretty fucking corny. It's been just fine. Like, where the White Wolf kind of put this record into perspective for me, right? Because like when I played this when I first got it, I was like, that's kind of cheesy, man. It's really a lot of synth on there and shit. But I listened to that White Wolf record and I go, oh, man. You know something? This sounds just fine. Thanks for watching.